And on another action and laughter-packed episode of the Grumpy Gits, we look at the controversial decision to hold the World Cup in Qatar and the fallout from the decision, taking a look at Joe Lycett's cash-burning protest. Duncan and Chris talk to Jim Atkinson, founder of Depher, the CIC helping the most vulnerable people in what could be the most inspiring story you'll hear this year. Get the Kleenex on standby. We look at Simon Sansome's documentary film Access All Areas and get the lowdown from the man himself. All this and your usual favourites with a See You Next Tuesday with a twist and a truly sick Dear Grumpy Gits. So grab a drink, sit back and laugh, cry and relax, and remember, don't be grumpy alone.
What is going on, Internet, and welcome to another episode of the Grumpy Gits in association with Disability Expo. I'm your glorious host, Adam Pearson, here to lead you through this cavalcade of carnage alongside three of my fellow miscreant friends, who I will introduce them in a second. But please, absolutely, and I mean it this time, make sure you stay to the end to catch the interview with Jim Atkinson. It's an amazing interview with an amazing guy. Please, please, please stick around to watch it. Anyway, moving on, coming up first, he is a man who is almost as flashy as the new chair he has purchased. Chris Lee Smith, how are we doing?
I'm very well, mate. I'm very, very well. I have been diagnosed with ADHD and I have got a new chair, which is probably part of my ADHD, actually, because it was an impulse buy. So
it was also the colouring. It's like, oh, another colour.
Yeah, I'm addicted to this thing. So, but yeah, apart from that, I'm good, mate.
Let's deal with the whole sponsored by Audi thing. We aren't, for the record. If they want to, totally up for it, but we aren't. What's going on there, Chris? Is this the ADHD again?
Could you not spell ADHD? Are you dyslexic as well? And it says Audi instead of ADHD.
It was an impulse buy today, and the story is I did come up with a reason to wear it. Is because this would be the first episode in December, and the second reason, the real reason, is that I just couldn't be bothered to get changed for the podcast.
We admire your honesty, Chris. Thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. What impulse buy will Chris make next and blame on his ADHD? Let us know in the comments down below. And moving on with some amazing new signage in the background. Let us know if you see it. Duncan Casburn, how is it going, my friend?
It's going well. I'm alternating between Christmas shopping and spitting at my TV while I'm a Celebrity's on.
I'm terrified he's going to win. Utterly terrified.
I'm convinced, because they've changed it this year, that you vote to keep them in. And I think everyone's voting to get him out and not realising that by doing so they're keeping him in. That's my theory.
There is a little part of me that's just like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's just do it.
It's bad enough I have to watch it, but now that he's in it as well, it's...
And how much of the football are you watching? We'll talk more about it later in greater depth. Are you a World Cup man?
I'm not. I'm going to lose some viewers here. I'm Australian, which means everything was rugby back there, and very few people watch what we call soccer. It wasn't really a big thing. And I find it... I think it was summed up by the England-USA match, which was basically an hour and a half of a ball going up and down a field and absolutely nothing else happening.
And also, Aussie rules football is a whole other animal entirely. Aussie rules football is the most violent thing I've ever seen, and I've watched the UFC.
If you ever want to watch the rugby league when it's the New South Wales versus Queensland, it's called the State of Origin. That is the best rugby you'll ever see. And that is just violence in a game. Controlled violence, but violence nonetheless.
Oh yeah, no, controlled violence. We're not advocating that.
Absolutely.
As long as it's controlled, rock and roll. Simon Sansome, how's it going?
I'll tell you something really... so Chris has been diagnosed with ADHD, and obviously I'm dyslexic. And I was watching... it was a weird week for me this week. I was watching Family Fortunes, okay? And there was a bloke on there called Harvey, and it's the first time I've seen Harvey spelt correctly.
How was it spelled, and how have you seen it spelt before? And more importantly, was this Harvey from So Solid Crew?
I have no idea. I doubt it very much because So Solid Crew haven't been around for 20 years. It was spelled HRVY. Someone called HRVY, and I thought, brilliant. Why can't everything be spelled like that?
I'm feeling less and less needed on this show. You've got the wheelchair user, you've got yourself, Adam, Chris is now ADHD. I'm just ugly. That's bald. If bald comes with disability, I'm in.
It counts.
I'm sure we can find something wrong with you. Don't worry about it.
My wife will happily fill you in on all the details.
Amazing. That's our next interview booked in. I once made a joke to a bald bloke who I'd just met. This is just me being overly familiar. I said, did you know that male pattern baldness is a direct result of too much male testosterone in the human bloodstream? So my advice to you would be to stop swallowing. And he got really angry at me.
Does that go for all bald guys?
I mean, I don't want to make sweeping statements on this podcast, Chris, because they never go down well. Ever.
Speaking of swallowing.
So for now, we'll keep it to that one bald guy from Croydon in 2018, and we'll move on. We will all move on.
One of the worst statements I've ever heard come out of my niece's mouth came out yesterday, and it was completely accidental. We were talking about the show Ghosts, and she said Mary got sucked off on Ghosts. So apparently in Ghosts is when they go to the higher power or leave the show, they get sucked away, and Iz came up and said, Mary got sucked off.
To be honest, if I ever encounter a ghost, that's how I hope it works out as well. Every horror movie should have a happy ending.
If I'm going to die, that's how it's happening. We are revamping one of our segments. Welcome to See You Next Tuesday Together. Chris, how are we revamping this?
We are, instead of it falling on me to ask 3 questions, I have been struggling a little bit. So I've asked you guys to pitch in. So it will be you 3 asking the questions and us all answering.
I like this. So what I'm about to say now is scary, both morally and legally, and just might be a bad day for humanity. Here we go. Simon, what's your question?
So this question has been vetted by 2 people. One, the 5th Grumpy Git Jeff, who said, you need to reword that. Kate, my wife, who said, you shouldn't ask that question. This could open a whole can of worms, but here we go. If there was one Grumpy Git in view right now who you didn't want to work with anymore, who would it be?
Oh, that is amazing.
That fire so hard.
Kate, Jeff, you are so wrong. This is the essence of See You Next Tuesday. That is perfect. This is what I live for. I wish I'd have asked it. Damn it. This is why I brought you guys in.
Okay, let's start with Adam then.
Based on what we've said earlier, will choose Duncan because he's not disabled, and frankly, I've had enough of his able-splaining. So...
I did not see that coming.
So many problems.
That's not going to edit well, is it? So I'm going to tip that. Those 10 seconds on their own are fucking awful, aren't they?
Okay, Chris, you're next, mate.
I have to say Simon because he makes me so angry, and I'm 40 in 2 weeks, and I want to live until I'm 50. So if I had to choose, it would be Simon.
I'm going to go for Adam on this one, purely because if we ever do get to one where it's picking on me, it's going to be merciless, and I want to avoid that.
That's good.
I'm going to say Adam does have a stalkerish thing about him, doesn't he?
An alleged stalkerish thing. Alleged.
When you started this, I thought you were going somewhere very different.
Yeah.
Whose question's next?
Duncan, what have we got for us?
If we were the A-team, which member would each of us be and why? We'll start this with Chris.
Right, so Mr. T first. It has to be Duncan, because he's kind of like an albino Mr. T.
I could just draw on a white.
Yeah. I think, yeah. Yeah, and I think you've kind of probably got the closest build.
How
Hannibal.
fucking dare you?
Hannibal next. Either way, I'm gonna have to choose Simon for Hannibal. That pains me. It pains me to say. Moving on, face. I think would have to be me. Murdoch. It's got to be Adam. It's got to be. And that's my 4.
Simon next.
Yes. Okay. So, Mr. T, me. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like to fly, you know?
Yeah. Well, the house in Spain's a fucking mistake. Yeah.
No. I should say I don't like to fly with Ryanair.
Yeah. Because famously, that was Mr. T's main problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's widely misquoted as all planes, but it's actually specifically Ryanair.
Actually, I think Murdoch's quite a good shout for Adam, actually. You know, because it's a bit crazy. Duncan, Duncan's going to be Hannibal, surely. Yeah. And then Chris is not face. There was a 5th member of the A-team in the first season. It was the female reporter. And I would say Chris is the female reporter.
She wasn't part of the A-team. She was an extra. She was a character that was adjacent. This isn't about that. A-team, 4 members. Murdoch.
Technically, there was 5. She's
Hannibal,
in the opening credits. She's
Really
in the opening credits. She is in the opening credits. She's in the A-team.
She is thoroughly. She's thoroughly expendable. She's thoroughly expendable.
Oh, Marlon Brando was in the opening credits for Superman. That doesn't make him a. It's just no.
I was in the opening credits. of MasterChef. That meant fuck all as well.
And if Marlon Brando came to Earth, he would have the same superpowers as Superman.
But he didn't.
This is what you do to me, son. I'm trying not to swear, and it's been going really well up until now, and then you just bring it out of me.
But you've got to justify your reason. Okay, let's say, which is all wrong, that she was part of the A-team, which she wasn't. Why on earth would you pick Chris to be the reporter?
He's a bit of a girl, isn't he? Look what he's wearing. I mean, come on.
Because I'm an actual journalist. He's just walked into it, Simon.
And finally, Adam.
Okay. So, I am going to make Duncan Mr. T for the same reason as Chris. Like, he's the closest we have, yet still nowhere near. I'm going to make Chris Maverick.
You mean Murdoch? Maverick would be Top Gun.
Simon's Hannibal, and I'm going to make myself face so that you will have to call me out in public, and I can act all indignant and offended.
I'm the crazy one of the group. Okay.
I wasn't going to call Adam face for the obvious reason. He just did it himself.
Yeah. I also made a guy with a recent ADHD diagnosis, Murdoch, so I'm on fucking form today.
That still didn't register with me.
It was still Maverick, you said. You still fucked it up.
I still balled it up.
And that's why Chris is in a padded room. That's not Chris's house, that's a padded room.
Right, who's got the last question?
Well, gentlemen, let us do this. Due to poor planning on the part of your fellow Grumpy Gits, you have been tasked with buying all of the others' significant others a Christmas present. This can either make or break all of our relationships. What are you buying and why? Chris.
What am I buying all of your misses?
That is the question.
I'm staring at Duncan, and all I can think of is boldness. So I'm thinking maybe some sort of toupee or a wig, spice things up. She might like that to, give it a cross. Adam, what would I buy Roxy? No, I'm going to do Simon first, actually, because that's just come to me. I buy Kate Viagra. Adam, I would. I'm trying to think of something that would make you grow up. A cane, I think. We'll go for domestic abuse to beat the kid out of you.
I can only see that being used on kinky nights.
Yeah. You assume we don't already have one.
A titanium cane.
There we go. We'll hang it next to the cattle prod. And Duncan.
The easy one, Simon. I'm buying Kate a flip-flop deflector shield. I think that will be very helpful in their home. For Roxy, I'm not sure. Probably a pair of headphones. I think they come in handy. I don't know.
Such a tough question.
Hey, it's a really tough question. Some replaceable batteries for your vibrator.
It's not battery powered, for fuck's sake. It's not battery powered.
You told me it was when I said it was rechargeable. You said it's battery powered.
And finally, Simon.
Right. For Sam, Chris's partner, I would buy Chris some clothes because, let's look at him. He's just wearing a onesie, so he needs some actual adult clothes because, let's face it, she can't take him out in public. For Duncan, I would buy your partner a bald cap for you, so therefore she only has to pretend that you're actually bald.
I do not get the logic for that at all.
And then
the
for
logic
Roxy,
is lost.
For Roxy, I'm going to... That's for,
Hang on, let me do my reveal. I'm really actually bald.
Exactly. And then for Roxy, we've got a MasterChef trophy that she can give to Adam because it was so bad that he got a little trophy.
Hey, I'll take it.
Right, do you want my question?
Let's do it.
Okay, you and one other grumpy git get invited on to Strictly Come Dancing as a same-sex couple. Which other grumpy git are you going on to dance with? We'll start with Adam.
Well, let's be honest, it's a choice between two, because BBC tried that. It was called Dancing on Wheels, and it was fucking atrocious.
Is that a real show or not?
It's a real thing. Yeah. I went to the recording of it. I called one of the judges a rude word. Probably Chris, because I reckon he's got like the most natural rhythm out of the three of you.
Simon next.
Only because he's similar height to me, it's got to be Adam. So I'm sitting down all the time.
So you'll just be sitting on his knee, or
well, I hope
robot
not.
walls.
That's a very different talent show you're describing there, Chris.
Yeah. Let's go with Duncan next.
I'm going to go Simon because I want the pity vote.
The pity vote.
And you don't think you'd get that on your own?
Oh, that's without a given. With the two of us, we'd be unstoppable. It'd be like a fucking superpower.
And that's the end of See You Next Tuesday.
I'm liking the revamp See You Next Tuesday, setting us all off against each other in a completely different way.
The Grumpy Gits are proudly partnered with the Disability Expo being held at XL in London on the 6th and 7th of July 2023. It's going to be an incredible event, so follow the links in the description to sign up.
Moving on to our other reoccurring segment, we are men who like to give back. We are shepherds of men, women, and possibly hamsters. I haven't checked the metrics lately. It's time for Dear Grumpy Gits. Duncan, who has written to us this episode?
Yes, so we've got a letter this week. So, Dear Grumpy Gits, help me, I am racked with guilt. Recently I went to the cinema with some friends. It was straight after work, so I hadn't eaten. We stopped at the pub on the way and, in my wisdom, inverted commas, had 4 glasses of Jack Daniels. Big mistake. I was fine for a bit, but on another act of wisdom, I grabbed a KFC burger. Instant regret, as I could feel it sitting on top of all the alcohol in my stomach. We sat down and the coming attraction started. I could feel the sweat starting and the churning in my gut. I excused myself and headed to the bathroom. This being a public toilet, there was no way in hell I was going to get down on my hands and knees to vomit, so I stood and tried to aim as best I could, which wasn't good. It was like a scene from The Exorcist. I projectile vomited all down the walls, all over the back of the loo, on the floor. The whole cubicle was covered. It was a total state. I went out and washed my face and then happily went back to rejoin my mates in the cinema. The film was about to begin and then it hit again. That same sweaty feeling of imminent chunder. I quickly ran back to the bathroom and on my way I passed a very unhappy-looking cinema employee, wheeling a mop and bucket in front of him. I slipped back into the same cubicle, now gleaming and fresh. I performed the perfect encore and sheepishly walked out, making sure I hadn't been seen by anyone. I rejoined my friends and we watched the film. On the way out, we went through the foyer and I could hear the manager shouting at an employee, "You told me you cleaned it!" "I did," came the incredulous reply. "Well, it's still everywhere. Do you think someone else went in there and just happened to pick the same stall and do it all again?" Now I can't sleep and I'm certain that I've cost this poor kid his job. What do I do?
Does it say what cinema it was? Because
No.
if it was Cineworld, then good for you. Good for you.
You've done the world a service.
Oh, I'd like to say morally that the person should tell the truth. But I know if I was in the same situation, I would have fucking done nothing. I would have walked out and let him get fired. Honestly, if it was me, I know I would have just walked away and not gone, "Excuse me, actually, I threw up twice in the toilet and I sprayed everywhere." Not a chance, no. They did the right thing.
Simon, what are your thoughts?
Oh, this has actually happened to me.
As the employee or the vomiter?
Oh.
No, it happened with shit.
God.
This is Simon all over. You've got a house in Cornwall. I've got a house in Spain. You chundered everywhere. I shat myself.
The one up.
We were at a DIY store in Cartagena in Spain.
Do it yourself. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm doubly incontinent at the best of times, and I thought someone really did a bad fart next to me, and I was like, "Fucking hell, that stinks." Next thing I know, it's all down up my back, it's all down everywhere, and I went into the bathroom and had to call Kate in. She had to go to Decathlon to get me some shorts. It created a whole shitty mess all over the place, and when Kate went back into the store, she saw a cleaner trying to clean everything up. We did our best, obviously the best we could, with what we could, but then we've never been back since. Anyway, but to help this poor chap out...
Basically, your answer is, "It was so much worse for me, don't worry, because it's nothing compared to what I went through."
If I was this chap, if I was this person who wrote in, create a fake email address, yes, and then explain the situation in an email, okay, and send a picture of the receipt of your thing so you can prove that it was you, and then they can't trace it back to you because they don't know who did it. And just say...
This receipt has codes on it. They could trace it.
Yeah, and cameras.
Yeah, yes.
I don't think they're going to search the cameras for who went to throw up in the toilet and what time.
It depends on
the
who shit everywhere. It depends on how bad the shit was.
Yeah, they did. When it happened to me in Cartagena, they did look through the CCTV apparently because they got security involved.
What were the security going to do?
I don't. I mean, I won't be allowed to get in there.
Clean this shit up.
You know that's on YouTube somewhere.
To clarify, our advice for this poor person was it Cineworld? I'd have done the same thing. At least it wasn't shit. Commit mail fraud. That's what we've gone with.
We're on top form.
Yeah. I'm not arguing with any of it. I'm just doing a nice little recap for the viewers at home as to how seriously we take this kind of thing. And that is another lost soul help. If you have a problem you'd like us to discuss, absolutely feel free to send it to us on email, social media, what have you. It'll all be down in the show notes below. And again, because it still keeps happening, please stop sending us actual problems. But yeah, try and keep it silly and relatively low impact, and we'll love you more than we already do. Anyway, gentlemen, I don't know if you noticed, we have a massive football tournament going on at the complete wrong time of year in a country with appalling human rights records that has dialed back everything they promised to do when they were awarded said football tournament. How do we all feel about the World Cup in Qatar?
Pissed off, annoyed and let down.
Elaborate for me, Simon.
So, no, you had this bloke on TV last week, and he's probably the president of FIFA or whatever he was. And he just said, today I feel Qatari. Today I feel disabled. Today I feel gay. No, you don't. You're a twat. It really pissed me off. You want to feel disabled? You can sit in my wheelchair for 48 hours. Let's see how disabled you feel then. There shouldn't be any football in that country. Harry Kane and everyone else said, no, I'm not going to wear my band, which I've worn for the past year and a half or whatever it is, for the LGBT community. I'm going to take it off. They had a choice. They had a moral choice to be better than footballers, to stand up to the world and say what's happening in Qatar is not right. Okay? And all of them who are playing football there, even the TV presenters or whatever, have failed miserably.
I heard Roy Keane say something really similar. That for the first game they should have taken the hit. And it's a really cold day in hell when I listen to Roy Keane talk and go, you know what, Roy Keane? You're absolutely right.
Yeah, but how many thousands of pounds is he being paid to be there as well?
Well, we've even got David Beckham being paid £10 million to be an ambassador.
Yeah. Rumours it's actually upwards of 150 million, but it's a stupid amount of money regardless.
Well, there goes his knighthood, which he's desperately wanted for years. He's never going to get one now after supporting the Qataris.
I know we had Joe Lycett weighing in with what is either the greatest stunt on earth or the most short-sighted. Duncan, where do you stand on Joe Lycett?
I really respected what he did. I actually respected that he was good enough also to come out afterwards, no pun intended, and say, you know what, it wasn't really 10 grand. It was real money that went in the shredder. It was fake paper that came out. And he'd already donated the money to LGBTQ plus sports communities. And I thought, that's great. That's actually exactly what should have been done with it. I think the point he was trying to make was really valid. And I think that this is the problem. It's that whole thing of, when good people fail to stand up for what's right, that's when evil wins. And you've got this whole thing taking place. I'm not a fan of football. I don't particularly watch it. But I do think that when you're in the public eye, whether that be as a celebrity, as a sports person, whatever, a politician, whatever your medium is, if you're in the limelight for any reason, you are held to a higher standard. And the human rights abuses, the treatment, I don't care what even if you take away people's opinions of whatever it is they're standing against, the fact is nobody should have to die for who they are. That's wrong. Unless it's, obviously ending somebody else's life for whatever reason. Serial killers probably shouldn't be allowed to just be who they are. But the point is that for the majority of people living their lives, they have a right to be who they are. That shouldn't mean that they're sentenced to death.
I had this argument with FIFA on Twitter. Over here, they did the whole rainbow logo, and they're like, oh, happy Pride Month. And I just quoted it and said, yep, see you in Qatar. And it led to this massive back and forth between me and other football fans. And I'm like, yeah, are you all really that stupid? Like, someone yelled at Joe Lycett saying, oh, someone's getting angry at David Beckham because he went to the World Cup. I'm like, no, that's not it at all. Tell me you weren't listening without telling me you weren't listening, you jackass. What Joe Lycett's angry about is David Beckham profiteering massively off of a country with an atrocious human rights record. Let alone the amount of slave labour that died trying to make that stadium. And then they dialed back, oh, can we have it in the summer? Yeah, turns out, no. Gay rights? Yeah, turns out, no. Alcohol? Yeah, turns out, no. And the more I hear other people weighing in on it and trying to excuse it, the more disillusioned I'm getting. Whether it's John Fashanu on the news saying you should respect the culture of the countries that you're in, and I'm like, that's so easy for you to say here in highly equal rights-based England. But then you also have, but then, if I remember correctly, John Fashionu's brother Justin came out as gay. And John Fashioну said that he wasn't gay, he was just attention seeking. So I think John Fashionu's track record on gay rights is shady at best. And then, who was it? Was it the Foreign Secretary that said, yeah, be gay but not too gay, if you were going out there? It was some politician.
James Cleverly.
James Cleverly, be gay but not too gay. I'm like, okay, number one, I didn't realise we could quantify gayness. Like, what are we measuring? What are we measuring it in?
There's different levels. There's different levels of gayness.
Yeah.
I've been told. But this isn't the World Cup anyway. This doesn't feel like the World Cup. Even non-footy fans, whenever you think back to a World Cup, whether it be Italy or USA, even France, all those had that atmosphere. And even if you weren't a football fan, you know, when England came on and it was something like your family would watch it or people would ask, this World Cup has no atmosphere. It's being held in winter and it doesn't feel like a World Cup at all. It is. It's just so far removed. You can't plaster World Cup over it and take away all of the atmosphere.
And for the first time, I don't give a fuck if we win or not. I couldn't care less.
I really don't. I'm watching a few of the games, but on YouTube, like the highlights, because my son likes football and he follows it. But it's crap. I really don't give a fuck if England win.
I mean, there have been a few upsets, like a few shockers. Like Saudi Arabia beat Argentina and Japan beat Germany. And that kind of stuff brings me a little bit of joy because I'm rooting for the underdog. But much like
Morocco beat Belgium today as well.
Indeed. So much like all of you, I'm trying to engage with it as little as I can. So gentlemen, speed round. What can people watch either on streaming or in general, film series instead of the World Cup? Chris Lee Smith.
It's old, but I've recently started watching it. Boston Legal, which is it is funny, awesome. James Spader. I love it to bits. And if you haven't watched it, take the plunge like I did.
Simon Sansome.
Access all areas on Amazon Prime. It's my film.
There we go. That was going to be the next segment, but that's fucking ruined. Duncan Casburn. Give me a real film.
Maverick's supposed to be out very soon on streaming. That I've heard is awesome. Haven't had a chance to see it.
It's awesome. It is amazing. I rented it out, and even my boy sat and watched the entire thing. Such a good movie.
I tell you what else has been. It's come on Sky. It's on the Sky Cinema at the moment. Is the Dark Knight trilogy, and I actually sat. My wife has never watched Batman Begins, and we sat down and watched it, and she was riveted.
And I have been watching on the old Netflix. I'm late to the party. There's about 6 or 7 series that I've got to power through. Lucifer is incredibly good. I have a lot of time for Lucifer. And also Big Mouth, which is Nick Kroll's animated thing. And as a heads up, if you don't like potty humour and really crass stuff, stay well away from Big Mouth. Well away from it. So if you're into animated talking vaginas and hormone monsters, go for it. Anyway, where were we? Talking penis, segue. Simon, you've got a movie.
So I have a film out. It's called Access All Areas. It's on Amazon Prime and iTunes, which is very surprising. We weren't expecting that, but they brought it. So that's fantastic news. And it's doing very well, apparently. It's about my story when I became disabled in 2014. It's not just my story, it's mine and Kate's story on how we struggled after I became disabled, and it follows a story up to basically today and where we are today. And it's about disability discrimination in the workplace. It's about campaigning for disability rights, how I represented myself in court. It's taking the NHS up through the legal system. It's a tearjerker as well. There are some very torturous moments in there as well. Adam acted as a disability consultant for us on the film as well, so he came filming with us everywhere. And it is an interesting story. It's an interesting human story, and it's got rave reviews, and there's going to be lots in the papers in the next few weeks about it as well.
Explain to me exactly why disability is disturbing.
Some people find it disturbing to see pictures of disabled people, for example. You will have to think about it like that.
It won't be quick, and it won't be easy. But I think you've got a case. Are you sure you want to press the button?
We don't have a choice.
I'm incredibly proud of him. He's just indestructible.
I hear you required a lot of hardware from this film.
Yeah, so it was released for the international film festivals all over the world, and it won 16 major awards. But because it was COVID, most of them sent out certificates. So we got an email with a certificate we could print off because they couldn't send anything by shipping. And that was really annoying because we should have had 16 trophies. Instead, we've got 3. So I've got 3 nice big trophies on my cabinets for Best Executive Producer, Best Producer. There's one for Charlotte Fantelli from Brandy Studios, got one for Best Director. We got both, and she's my co-executive producer on this as well, so we both got awards for that. And it won Best Film as well at a few festivals. So it's done massively well, and hopefully it will start gaining traction over the next coming months with press coverage and take it from there and see what happens.
If this film does go massively successful, does that mean you'll be too good to hang out with us?
Yes.
Okay. Well, not
Win-win. Can we go back
please
to that first
go watch
question?
this. Buy this movie. Buy this movie.
Buy it. You heard it. Legal contract. Legal contract.
I think we all know that I've got too much invested in the Grumpy Gits now, let's face it. So unfortunately you wouldn't get rid of me. Not that easily anyway. But yes, it's. I think it's going to do quite well. Yeah, either that or nobody's going to watch it. But yeah, but we'll see what happens.
There's no grey area.
No, there is no grey area. You're either going to love it or hate it. But you know, but what's good about it is I don't know how to explain myself when I get stopped in public, and I'm going to just go watch the film now. Yeah, it's great.
Well, no, sincerely, well done. We hope it does well. I've seen it. It's very good.
Whoa. Adam, was that a compliment?
It was a compliment, yes.
Oh, fucking hell. Jeff, record it. Put it on loop.
Loop it.
Can I say that the great thing is, if they ever make a porn version of this, they don't have to change the title.
No, I don't. I've only got to change one of the cast.
Yeah, Kate would not be up for it at all.
I'd like to point out that you said up for it, and I didn't say anything back. I just left it. There was low-hanging fruit, and I ignored it. Aren't you proud of me?
There is a bit of soft porn in there, actually. There's a bit where we threw Ollie... There is.
You want people to watch it.
But true story, Ollie Batty, who plays me in the film, so there was a bit where I woke up and I couldn't feel anything from the waist down, and I had to throw myself down the stairs to go and get help because I didn't have my phone on me. And we did that to Ollie, but the problem is we had to do it 20 times, and he was naked going down the stairs. So you get a picture of his bum going down the stairs because I was naked when it happened. And I've got a picture of his chest, and it's purely bright red on how many times we threw him down the stairs, and he was hurting. He was ripped raw for days after that. Oh, bless him.
Who was the disability advisor on this? Because that sounds awfully dangerous.
Can I just say...
Yeah, he'll be fine. So take 3, take 12. Can I push him this time?
Can I just say, based on that description, your threshold for porn is remarkably low.
I was going to say, I don't think that qualifies as softcore. That's definitely not. It's hardly Red Shoe Diaries, is it?
No. It's just about you've been framed. It's not softcore porn.
50 Wheels of Grey.
Hi, Ollie. If you're watching this, he's not watching this.
No.
But no, well done. We're all really proud of you, and we all hope it does remarkably well, but also that you stick around.
Aw, thanks.
I've said 3 nice things to you in one segment. That would be the chest infection. It is now time for the Disability Expo news. Take it away.
This week, we are excited to share with you our plans for an inclusive fashion show set to take place on our centre stage at Disability Expo in London next year. Everyone deserves to feel confident in their clothes and able to express themselves through fashion. Garments should be designed to fit a diverse range of bodies, with consideration given to the dexterity of the wearer and how they would put the clothing on, as well as how the garment might sit if the wearer uses a mobility aid, for example. This diversity must then continue into the marketing of these products. It is the future of the fashion industry for everyone to feel welcome, included, and seen. We are working with a number of fashion brands, designers, and agencies to bring our inclusive fashion show to fruition. Victoria Jenkins from Unhidden will be showing her designs on our runway. Victoria founded Unhidden after a chance encounter with a cancer patient in hospital who couldn't even access her own stoma, arm line, or chest port without removing clothing or exposing herself in some way throughout her daily life. Pyjama tops and loungewear were this woman's only options for clothing, as nothing else she would like to wear would adapt. And so Unhidden was born. Other designers we are working with include Craig Crawford, who was responsible for creating and executing the world's most aspirational digital fashion at Burberry. Craig is the founder of Differently Enabled, a brand that exists to help people look good, feel good, and do good by creating incredible bespoke clothes for anyone that is differently enabled. Kat Paler-Bent, founder of adaptive fashion brand Seated Sewing, also provides bespoke outfits to the disabled community. Her life changed when she sustained a spinal injury that left her needing to use a wheelchair. Having had a passion for sewing since a young age and finding nothing suitable on the market, Kat designed her own solutions for discomfort caused by the equipment she used in daily life. All of her products are designed and tested with the purpose of giving practical comfort but still being aesthetically pleasing. Shamaya Dewey Fashion, the first clothing brand for people of short stature under 4'10", will also be featured on our runway. Although average height herself, Shamaya met and worked with a young person with dwarfism on a youth programme while she was a fashion student at university. The lack of fashion options for people with dwarfism or short stature spurred her on to develop her own brand that allowed this group of people to feel stylish. And finally, Sylvia Mack, who, as well as being our inclusive talent ambassador, is the founder of Love Disfigure Talent Agency. Sylvia herself is a burn survivor and set up Love Disfigure as an online support network for people with both visible and hidden differences and disabilities. So join us at Disability Expo next July for a celebration of diversity on our inclusive catwalk. Don't forget to register your free ticket now at thedisabilityexpo.com.
We here at the Grumpy Gits have been really fortunate to have a lot of great interviews. And I don't say this lightly, and I also say it with full respect to everyone we've ever interviewed. This might be one of my favourites. Duncan, who do we talk to?
Chris and I had the opportunity to sit down with a chap called Jim Atkinson. Now, he's not a household name, which, to be honest, is a crime in itself. But he is a part of a company called Depher, who are just remarkable. And Chris and I got to sit down, have a chat to Jim, and find out what it is that Depher do, but more of that, how they serve other people and the amazing, pure, altruistic things that he does and that the company do and the way they look out for people. Get your Kleenex on standby because this is both heartbreaking and amazing at the same time, and a true statement of just what it takes when somebody who's faced almost the ultimate tragedy in life to pick themselves back up and make the world a better place. Absolutely amazing. So, yeah, this is Jim.
Yes, thank you, Adam. And we are here with the fantastic Jim Anderson. Jim, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just got home from work. Well, not long got home from work. Nice cup of tea, something to eat, sitting down with the wife. And then I'm coming on to talk to you brilliant gentlemen. So, yeah, it's a good evening.
Thanks so much for joining us. And I've been a fan for a long time. I've followed you on Twitter. But could you tell us a little bit about the company itself?
Well, Depher is the only company of its kind on the planet. You won't find it anywhere else within 7.5 billion people. We are a plumbing and heating company, but one with a twist. is where we don't charge stupid amounts of money. Sometimes we don't charge anything at all. We just give it away because we believe that there's people out there that need our services, but they need us more than what we need money. So we deliver what they need, and it keeps them alive, it keeps them safe. And yeah, it makes us all giddy and happy inside. It's great.
That's astonishing. When you got this going, what was the conversation with the bank manager like?
Well, it was actually a conversation because we had Northern Plumbing and Heating at the time, which is a profitable plumbing and heating company. And when I started Depher in 2017, it was with the accountant. And I said to my accountant, I said, what can I do to create something that I can give back to the community without the red tape, without the big brick walls, without the hurdles, and especially without the government getting in the way? And she said to me, the best way to do it is through a CIC. So I done a little bit of research. She explained what I needed to do. And then we got the ball rolling. And look at us now, we're known everywhere, all over the world. And we've helped over 1 million people now with CIC. So it's brilliant. I love it.
1 million people.
Over 1 million people. We've actually helped over 1 million people.
So that's, I mean, financially, that's, you're looking at, I mean, simple math off the top of my head, that's £300 million.
Easy, yeah. Worth the services that we've given to the communities of the United Kingdom. We've actually done 2 jobs in America. We've done 2 jobs in New York. I didn't do them myself personally, obviously.
That's the twist, isn't it? It's on business, first class.
To get me over there, Chris. I want to get back for dinner.
Can I ask, why is it that you do it? What drives you? What drove you to start this?
In 2013, I lost my son, William. William was 16 weeks old and he passed away in Alderley Hospital. And he was born with a reversed heart condition. He had a stomach operation on his bowels at 13 weeks old and he survived it. The doctor said he wouldn't. He then was on life support, which he was on from birth. And the doctor kept on saying and promising when he gets to a certain weight, they'll do the operation on his heart to reverse it. He never got to that stage. We had to say goodbye to William and turn the machine off while we held him in our arms, me and his mum. And that day, when we decided that we had to do that, William opened his eyes in his little bed in the hospital, and he looked right through me. At that time, I didn't know whether he was saying thank you or please don't. And that's the worst thing a parent can go through. But I know now it was the right thing to do. We had to be kind because William had come to the end of his fight. And I said to William, you are my son. I will forever love you. You will always be in there. But I will be the man I know that you would have grown up to have been if you had survived. And for a couple of years after that, until 2017, I was angry. I was upset. I hated the world. I couldn't concentrate. And then I went to work one day and I got a phone call. And you go and help an elderly gentleman who's had a quote for £5,500 for a boiler. So we went in. I had a look at the system. Another plumber had manipulated the system. I put a magazine in the tank, rigged up the radiator to make this gentleman believe he needed a boiler. This gentleman was in a bed. This gentleman couldn't move. This gentleman had a hoist. This gentleman looked like an older version of William. The last time I saw my son, that's the day Depher was born. That's the day I decided I've got to do something here. I've got to be that promise that I made to my son William. And then Depher was born. So that's the story of Depher.
That's incredible.
I'm genuinely lost for words with that. I genuinely, that's a story that really hits.
It's a hard story for a lot of people. It is.
But what's astonishing is that so many people go through hardship and they promise I'm going to make a better life. I see it so often, and a lot of people I know who go and do awesome things off the back of that wake up call to I need to be a better human being. But what you've done is taken something, and I mean, it seems like from what you've described there, it was almost a calling.
Yeah.
I don't want to get all spiritual on everybody and stuff like that, but it really feels like you were called to it.
Yeah. I knew that day when I went to that job, I knew he was with me. I knew he was beside me, wherever he was. Couldn't see him, but he was there. And to this day, I speak to him every day. Speak to him in the night time, in the morning. And I talk to him, I tell him what I'm doing, which jobs we've done. And I know he's there. And I know that day that was him with me saying, come on, Dad, this is the promise now. You've grieved long enough. Now let's go and make the world a better place. And I know that when I go up there to meet him, hopefully, I'm up there, not down there. I don't want to go on the slide, I want to go on the ladder.
Yeah.
And I hope I see him sitting there by the pearlies, looking at me, going, come on, Dad, give it a hug. So until that day comes, I am going to be that person that you've got to be. And I want to continue till the day I leave. That's it.
That's just simply incredible. Apart from that first gent who reminded you of your son when you decided to do this, is there any cases that have really stood out for you where you're just ecstatic that you're helping this person?
The very first job that I went to where it was a matter of life and death was a lady in a place called Padiham in Lancashire. And her grandson rang me and said to me, James, her water heater's gone. Can you please go and help me grandmother? So I said, yeah, not a problem. I'll shoot over this afternoon. So I went over, little quaint house in the middle of a terrace street. Very quiet, very quaint, very, very wet, because it is very wet up here. It's like a bubble with water in it. Knocked on the door, she opened the door, little smile on her face, come in. So what's wrong? She said, my water heater's not well. So what about your central heating? So, well, I don't have central heating, I just have a gas fire. Right, okay. So what's your situation? So, well, my husband passed away a couple of years ago. My son-in-law's passed away last year. So, right, okay. So I'm not financially brilliant. I'm not well off like a lot of people. And my water heater's gone. I've rang everybody, no one will help me. So I just want to wash. I just want to be able to wash myself and wash the dishes and wash the house and be clean. So, right, okay. So I sat down with him and said, right, okay, we'll see what we can do. So what funding we've got. And on the table in front of me, there was a bowl. And I actually thought they were Smarties. And I said to him, bloody hell, that's a lot of Smarties. Is that for all your grandkids and that when you come round, your great-grandkids? She goes, no, they'll be tablets. I said, well, why are they in the bowl? I said, well, I want to put on this. Well, what for? I said, well, if no one can help me, I can go be with my husband. So what do you mean? I said, well, if no one can help me and I can't keep clean and I can't do the dishes, what's the use of me being here? So I'm no use to anybody, so I might as well take all my tablets and then when I wake up, I'll be with my husband and I won't need to wash them, will I? So that's it. I seen red. I said, nah, I don't think so. You're not doing that. So I rang up the local mayor of Burnley, who we knew. I explained it to him. He rang a couple of people in Preston. They rang a couple of people in Preston again. And then within the hour, a new boiler was being fitted in the house. So it's little stories like that. That one phone call, that one act of, I'm doing something about this, can save somebody's life. Because you don't know when that person is at the edge. You don't know when their toes are sticking over. So you've got to be very careful with people, especially the elderly and the vulnerable.
What blows me away is that you're absolutely right. It's you don't know where people are at. And my wife loves watching all the ambulance shows, and you see a lot of the paramedics, and they go to people's houses. So I'm choking up a bit here. I apologise. But you see all these paramedics, and they go to people's houses, and so often you almost feel annoyed watching it. They're just little old people who they just need some company or some support some way. And you're thinking, well, that's costing the NHS all this money. But then you see that side of it, and that's what people miss is that they're vulnerable, they're alone. and they're reaching out in whatever way they can. And you've been there at a moment that really was the crossroads for someone.
Yes.
And brought them something. And you seem to do it with a genuine, it's altruistic without being self-serving. Like you see so many times you see these sorts of acts and they're like, look at me, I'm doing this wonderful thing. That's clearly not you. You're really humble with it.
Well, you've got to be on, because it's not about me. I don't care about me. I mean, you can kick me to the curb for all I care. It's about the people that we serve, and that's what my job is. I am now in the service of the public forever. And like I say, I've got food on my table. I've got a wife that loves me. I've got children that love me. I've got a home. That's all I need. And the rest of me is given to everybody else. That's it. That's what my job is.
James, tell us, because I was reading on Twitter, as I always do, on your account. It's such a great pick-me-up.
You're a stalker.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you have planned for Christmas?
Oh, yes. We've got thousands and thousands of toys in our shop in Burnley. And my daughter, she's getting dressed up as an elf. One of the other girls that were there, she's getting dressed up as Mrs. Christmas. I'm getting dressed up as the Grinch, obviously, because you've got to have a Grinch somewhere in there. Always got to have a Grinch. And we are having a big balloon arch outside. We're having Santa Claus inside the shop, Christmas music, all the decorations are up outside. There's a big blow up Father Christmas. There's a reindeer, there's lights, there's trees outside the shop on the roof and everything already. They're all working now. They're on all night. I keep them on all night. What we're doing, we're just inviting everybody in. As many people, as many children from the age of 0, wherever they are, up all the way up to 16, 17, 18, can come in the shop and they get a wrapped present. Now, these presents are presents that have come from places like Amazon and straight from the suppliers. And some of these toys are like Barbie, Action Men, some of the latest toys that people want, board games, perfumes, aftershaves like Dupe and Armani and all that kind of stuff. All the real lovely, beautiful stuff that makes Christmas what it is. And what
the stuff on the adverts, the stuff that people aspire and wish for.
Yes, all them. And we're just going to give them away. And Merry Christmas to every child that comes in. And then we're going to give people a food hamper as well. So if people want food offers for Christmas because they can't afford it, they come in, there's going to be a little letterbox with Christmas letters for Santa. And then they put the request in there. All you've got to do is in who lives in the house, where they live. They put it in. As soon as I get them out, I go upstairs, I go on my Asda or my Tesco app, more Asda than Tesco though, and I order the food, and I make sure that food gets delivered Christmas week. So it could be 100, could be 1,000, could be 2,000, could be 10,000 homes around the UK. Christmas week will get all their Christmas food delivered for them. So they all have a beautiful, magical Christmas. If they need electric and gas, we will put £50 on the levy and £50 on the gas to get them through Christmas week as well. So we've got it all set up ready. I've raised around about £350,000 now for this. So, and that will be used for that alone, just that.
That's phenomenal.
So it's Christmas, it's got to be done.
I'm going to ask, obviously this wasn't part of what we discussed. No, it's not the reason that you're here talking to us, but for anyone who wants to help contribute to this, because I know this is going to hit a lot of people's heartstrings, for those who can afford to, not those who can't afford to, but those who can afford to support you in this, how can they do that?
They go on our website, www.depher.co.uk or .com, depending on where you are. You can go on there, there's a link on there that says donate. But more importantly, this is obviously, it's not just about donation. If you're out there, if you're lonely, if you're elderly, if you're vulnerable, if you're disabled, if you're ill, if you just need someone to say yeah, or hello, or hiya, or come and visit you, or send you something through the post that'll make you smile, contact me. I'll do it myself personally. I'm up till 11, 12 o'clock every night doing it anyway, so I might as well carry on. I'll do it for you.
We will put links in the description so that you guys, in fact, what we'll do is we'll put a card up here. So when you're watching this, you can just click on that card. We don't care if you're leaving the podcast at this point to go and do it. If there's any way. And if you need that support and help, again, the links will be in the description. We will make a point. We're going to put a whole load on Twitter, all our social media about this, because I think I don't think, looking at Chris right now, and I don't think we can be having interviewed this and not be part of really pushing a drive toward this. So I think from the Grumpy Gits, we'll definitely be doing something to really promote this. And get
I really appreciate that. Very humble.
I cannot thank you enough for coming on. This was not what I expected. Normally we have a bit of banter and, we talk about some important stuff, but this is another level. And I can't thank you enough for coming on, Jim. It's just really, really moving.
No, thank you. It's humbling. It's getting the message out there, and it's letting the whole world know that love still exists. It's letting the whole world know that people are still there, that will open their arms, give you a hug.
It's something I've heard said, and I think it's so true, and you're a living example of this, is that when times are tough and things are really hard and bad things are happening, and the world's in a mess at the moment, there's so much, the cost of living crisis, people really struggling. It's don't look to all the negativity that likes to be put out there, but look to the people who are standing up and doing awesome things.
Yeah.
And you're just a brilliant example of that. And I imagine there's people behind you who are just, more than happily digging in as well. I think it's phenomenal.
Thank you.
I think with that, I'm going to hand over back to the podcast. But a huge thank you to Jim. And as I said before, hit the links in the description, do what you can. And if you need that support as well, Jim's a man who wants to help. So
yes, definitely. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. You could be in America, we'll still send it to you.
And with all of that being said, we have come to the finality of this episode of the Grumpy Gits. And gentlemen, it's been a privilege as always. Duncan Casburn, if people want to follow you and learn more about you, online only, obviously, stalking still illegal, where can they do so?
PDA Dads UK on pretty much any social media platform, but especially YouTube.
And Chris Lee Smith, if people want to follow your goings-on, whataboutery, and what I have no doubt might be the start of an amazing onesie collection, where can they do so?
They can follow me on Twitter, and my handle is The Real Grump Dad.
And Simon Sansome, if people want to know more about your upcoming film or your Snowball community app and all the such and such and such and such that comes with being Simon Sansome, where can they do so?
Yeah, you can download the film, access all areas on Amazon Prime and iTunes. You can follow the group at Snowball Community on Facebook, Freeze My Snowball on Twitter, and you can also download the app Snowball and leave reviews of any place in the world.
And you can find me on the old Twitter shit at Adam_Pearson and Adam_Pearson_TV on Instagram. So from me, Adam Pearson, and from all of them, we will see you all on the next one. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, give us a subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you all soon. And as always, don't be grumpy alone.